All right, I think we are live. It says you are live. I think I did this StreamYard just fine. If you guys want to see, just make a comment on the camera and on audio, see if I sound okay, and we'll have a nice time. So let's see who's in the chat. It's, of course, Daniel. Thank you. You're on record to be first the second time, and also early. Hi, Troy. And yeah, it's Troy and Daniel for now. So can you guys see me? Anyone? I'm just going to post something on chat. See if that works. Does all look good? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right. All right, and now actually I can hear me as a delay. Yep, thumbs up. Okay, great. So I think I will go ahead and I think we can go ahead and exit out of YouTube and just stay on StreamYard, if that's okay. We're still new with this, but yeah, I'll have to figure that out. All right, here goes. I'm going to close YouTube and stay on StreamYard. And hopefully I'm still here. It looks like I'm here. All right. Hey, Swift Justice. I'm not missing your live stream again. Yeah, and I chose 9:30 today. I was actually feeling a little under the weather, so I was just resting for most of the day and decided just to take it easy. But I think going forward, I think I'll have Mondays. So yeah, one more thumbs up. If you can, guys can give me one more thumbs up just to make sure we're all good. I'm just going to adjust the mic real quick so I can hear me. All right. All right. Thank you, Swift Justice. Thank you very much. And hopefully you guys are all doing well. Are you better? I think you were under the weather yourself the last time we spoke. So hopefully you've gotten over that. I've been hit, I think, with allergies. I was feeling really under the weather today. And it was kind of the symptoms that you have for this oncoming migraine, but the migraine never came. So that's pretty good. So all right, so we'll just go ahead and get started. So if Justin says, I have an awful stomach bug. Bug. Yeah, that is rough. I feel like someone needs to bury me in the yard. I hope not. I've been there. That is rough. So hopefully you're feeling better. Hopefully my speaking and education doesn't give you any headaches. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and pop up some notes. What I have in mind is to just start with about a maybe 5-10 minute lecture on some thoughts, some my commentary on art. And actually, just in case I was about to say something, I had a thought and maybe I was about to speak and just yeah. Anyway, I just finished dinner. Hi, Agent Boomer. How are you doing? Thank you for joining. Yeah, I was thinking about doing commentary 9 o'clock on Mondays. I just needed to ease in this evening. It's going to be pretty relaxed, but I had some ideas and I'm ready for a discussion, charitable discussion, hopefully it's enlightening and all of that. So let me pull up my notes, what I have in mind. Swift Justice says, the sounds of your voice and seeing your face makes me feel slightly better. Well, that's good. That is good. Yeah, I hope you recover. Stomach bug is no good. That's actually, I think, the worst to have. I can deal with a cold. I could deal with the flu, the fever, but there is something about the stomach bug that it is utter misery. So I feel for you, and hopefully you're just relaxing and enjoying the discussion and this lecture. All right. So I thought I would talk about what I have learned to be one of the biggest misconceptions about art. And now I will say that I've got a bit of a disclosure, and that is that these thoughts are based on my experience in the academia as a music composition student. So maybe this misconception isn't widely known or accepted or even thought of, but as a music student, as someone in the liberal arts major for a number of years, I did pick this up pretty frequently and quite often. So I'll just go ahead and take it away and let me know about what you're thinking. If you have any ideas and you want to comment, please comment in the chat. Or if you're seeing this at another time, go ahead and leave those comments below and we'll just get started. So one of the biggest misconceptions about art I picked up as a music composition student was that ultimately the numbers were a big indicator of quality. Meaning, the higher the number, the poorer the artistic quality, or the bigger the audience, the poorer the quality. And it was the same with the other way. The lower the number, the better the quality. The more it was considered high art. The smaller your audience, the more selective your audience, the more your art was considered high art. It was considered artistic. But I have found in recent years, over time, that quality, artistic quality, has little to do with the numbers. It's not dependent on the numbers. It's not found in the numbers, meaning you can create excellent art and have it be universally accepted and appreciated. And you can also create subpar and mediocre art and have it be appreciated by a select few. And this idea was commonly found in the academic circles among the composers and the musicians who created contemporary and experimental music. This idea that if people don't understand the art, it's on them. It's not on the artist. But I think in cases like this, I think the audience, actually not the audience, but the artist has the opportunity to grow and improve their work. Because ultimately, I believe that every human being has the innate understanding of what good art is. And that's going to be further down along the line. That's going to be another commentary video on why I believe this. So, yeah, ultimately, I do believe that every person has an innate understanding of what good art is, and that it was commonly accepted, if implied, that it was, the smaller the audience, the more selective the audience, the more your art was considered, or at least had the potential of being considered high art, because it was in the state of that being cerebral. Hey, Stephen Cruz, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. So why the misconception? If this does exist, if this notion does exist among the academic circles, why or how does this exist? Well, I have two reasons. And if you guys want to comment on other reasons you may have, I think there would be other reasons. But I came up with two reasons why people, at least in the academic circles, but also probably more or less the artistic circles, why they would feel that quality is inherently linked to the numbers. By numbers, I mean the numbers being that indicator. If you have a huge audience, your art shouldn't be considered high art, and vice versa. So the first reason is, I think we have an understanding. We all have an understanding that much of the generic, unoriginal art can be widely successful. Bad art is, we've seen, widely successful, even if there is little or no merit or skill involved. For music, we often hear this with more popular genres. And I think in the case with popular music, I think popular music tends to have a lot more flack than other genres. You get things like stale melodies, melodies that don't that aren't dynamic in range, that aren't hummable. Well, maybe they're hummable, but they're not memorable. Maybe there's not more than 3 or 4 notes. If you listen to the songs on the radio, a lot of the melodies that you hear are really just kind of stagnant. It's not moving. There's not really a lot of dynamic intervallic relationships for the singer. There's not a lot of range in a lot of the popular music that we can hear on Spotify or on the radio. There's also some stale harmony. I think the classic example is the 1-4-5 chord, 1-4-5-1 chord, that common chord progression. There's nothing wrong with that chord progression. And actually, I don't really want to use that example because there are a lot of popular music pieces out there that go beyond that chord progression, but they're still stale. But yeah, you got the stale melodies, you got the stale harmony. You've got this standard generic rhythmic drum kit feel. Maybe if it includes beats, you've got some generic library sounds. And so you also have things like auto-tune, which I have actually seen people defend, where you're not hearing that raw voice, that raw talent through the microphone and post-production. So I think, people, it's commonly expressed where people say, oh, popular music is so generic. And to some degree, that is true. But that's not to negate works like Michael Jackson, with his amazing bass line and rhythm. And in contemporary examples, examples of songwriters this year, John Mayer being one of them. He's an excellent songwriter, excellent composer. He knows how to arrange different instrumentations and chord progressions and harmonies, and he takes from all influences. He's a very good songwriter. His lyrics are very well written. In my eyes, they are poetry, very well done. So it's not to say all popular music is subpar or mediocre, because there are gems to be had. And actually, if you guys want to include in the chat who your favorite popular artists are, songwriting, let me know. Give me some examples. I think it was Bill Withers who just recently passed, and he's another example. I like Stevie Wonder, so just go ahead and put that in the comments or the chat on to the side. So just by and large, we have this idea that generic music is famous. Generic music can be famous, but great music, masterpieces, are also famous. So we have to, be careful when we're talking about that. Another example with that generic, unoriginal music, I think, can be really found in country music. I think country music is that genre where it's become a parody of sorts. And I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's a very popular, it's a pretty famous YouTube video called 6 Country Songs Mashup. Maybe I can include this in the link below. But it's just, I think it's on Digital Performer or Pro Tools, and it's these 6 country songs lined up in sequence from different songwriters, different artists, and it's got the same chord progression, kind of the same different instrumentation, but that same chord progression, melodic line, where it's just pretty much this sequence of this uniform. Like, it could all be one song, but it's actually 6 songs. And at the end of the video, it's just this wall of sameness where all the 6 country songs are just stacked together, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty ironic, and that's not to say all country is like that. But when people are aware that I play violin, and when I do some fiddling, and when they know that I have a fiddle background, they say, "Oh, you like country? You listen to country?" And I say, "I listen to bluegrass." I grew up playing songs in the style of Loretta Lynn, Hank Williams, maybe a little bit of Johnny Cash, songs like Sioux City Sue, and all that great stuff. And today, when I do listen to bluegrass, I listen to Alison Krauss and the Union Station. So I'm more instrumental. I write instrumental music. I play the violin. So I'm not a singer by trade. And I also don't really listen to songs as much as instrumental music. But when I do, it is bluegrass. And I do listen to Alison Krauss. She's great. Wonderful songwriting, wonderful lyrics. And the Union Station with her is just, I mean, it's so complimentary. They do a wonderful job together. Not only just great composition and great songs and the color and the orchestration, but also really good audio production. I'm amazed at some very famous people having subpar audio production, but they're really, really good. So yes, I do listen to bluegrass over country. I listen to that old time fiddling as well. You know, Cripple Creek, listen to the Mockingbird, you know, all that stuff. And for more progressive bluegrass, more experimental bluegrass, I listen to the Punch Brothers and the infamous String Dusters. So some name drops over there. So that's the first reason. I think this is the first reason for this misconception on why we use numbers as the big indicator of artistic quality. It's because, well, if it's really famous, it must be mediocre. Like if it's with pop music, you know, all pop music is bad. No, that's not true. You just have to listen. You have to look for it. You have to look for those artists in this decade and in past decades as well. And the second reason for this misconception on, you know, looking at the numbers to determine the artistic quality is there. Again, this is among the academics. I can't speak for the general population or the public square regarding art. This is just a view I picked up as a student in the academics. But this second reason for this misconception is that there's this focus on a specific kind of art, and that art is postmodern art, postmodernism. And I won't go into details about postmodernism. I think it's worth to talk about in the future. This will be definitely on my commentary in the future. But I will say that one characteristic of postmodernism, postmodern art, and really with music, can't speak for all art yet, though I think this is true of the other art forms. At least with music, postmodernism focuses on the idea rather than the art, or in this case, the music itself. And when that happens, when the idea is the object, there tends to be this analysis involved. And this analysis is multi-layered. It involves the technical, you know, talking about the structure or lack thereof, form, and all that we do with classical music as well. But there's also the philosophical analysis and even a little bit more psychoanalytical. There's psychoanalysis involved with postmodernism, in that people are curious about the motives of the composer. What was his environment? What was happening in that time in history when the composition was produced? What was happening before? What had happened in recent history? You know, what was the culture like? What was language like? What was the thought process? You know, how did people think? You know, especially in the 1950s and 60s with the Darmstadt philosophers and all of that, and really trying to get involved with the idea behind the art and not the object, not the art piece itself. And I think if the focus is on the idea and not on the object or the artwork itself, there's this elevation of the cerebral. There's this elevation of the thought process. And that I have experienced, automatically establishes it as high art. So it's all about the idea. It's all about the message. It's not about the art piece itself. And I think that's where this misconception has come to exist, because you disregard the actual object itself or the piece of music that you're listening to. It's more important to actually do that deep thinking. And because it involves that deep thinking and really admittingly or admittedly, it's actually overreaching. I have seen, that level of deep thinking. So because you put so much emphasis on that deep thinking, it's easy to assume, well, not everyone thinks like that. So only a select few, only an elite class of people can understand this high art. So I think those are the two reasons why this misconception exists, why people in those circles and the academics really put a lot of emphasis on the numbers. If your music is widely received, or if your art becomes famous, there is a tendency, it's not one broad stroke, but there is a tendency for the academics to disregard it, to ignore it because of the popular reception. So hopefully that made sense. Let me know what you think, but that was one of the misconceptions I picked up as a music composition student. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are, and we can just talk about this or talk about other things. But yeah, those are my thoughts on what I consider to be one of the biggest misconceptions about art. So anyway, let's take a look at the chat. All right, I'm going to read in order this time. I know I was skipping a lot of people last time. And if you guys want to just drop my name, because I think you guys are having a dialogue, because you guys, I think, are all from Professor Geek's channel. So thank you. Welcome. Thank you for coming. All right. Looks like you guys are more or less... Okay, Lord Huron. Daniel Heron says Lord Huron. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Can you give a specific genre or song or piece of music or art? I'm not familiar with that name. Sounds like a metal artist. I mean, not the physical substance, but the like heavy metal. We were chopping onions. So Troy Pacelli says, sorry, we missed the beginning. We were chopping onions. Yeah, I eat a plate of onions every night. It's I think it's good for your blood circulation, right? I have to look at the health benefits of onions, but I eat like a plate of vegetables every night. Just good stuff. Good stuff. Swift Justice says, it is honestly one of the more well-written, hard-hitting themes on family that actually make you think. Yeah, and are you referring to what I was saying? For art? Yeah, absolutely. Some country music is okay. Swift Justice says some country music is okay. I like the old stuff. Loretta Lynn, Hank Williams, Cripple Creek, Listen to a Mockingbird, Orange Blossom Special, because I grew up fiddle. I grew up playing fiddle by ear before getting into the orchestra to learn the notation, to learn classical technique. So I have a huge fiddle background. It's great stuff. Wabash Cannonball, good stuff. Daniel Heron says, looking at Friday, I have enough. Oh, should I? Oh, you're talking to Stephen Cruz. Yeah, if you're talking to someone else, I won't read, because maybe I don't want to add that to the conversation. Yeah, Troy Pacelli says, don't mean a thing if it ain't got that twang. Absolutely right. I mean, who doesn't like the dobro? Yeah, check out Union Station with Alison Krauss. It's just good stuff. It's got that contemporary color, but it just takes you back. It just makes that heart sing. Hi, Nanette. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. So you guys eat a lot of onions then? And then Roger Miller. So are these names of artists? I need to know my artists. Yeah, it looks like, hey, Big Al Presents. How are you doing? So, Darth Al here. I didn't know you went by that name. Oh, Olivia Newton-John. That name rings a bell. I wonder why that name sounds so familiar. Troy Pacelli says, the only postmodern I know is Postmodern Jukebox. And I'm not even sure they are really postmodern. It's worth checking out. I haven't heard of that. I wonder if that's like a joke or a parody, you know, kind of making fun of the postmodern. You guys, oh my goodness, you guys, I think all of you are from Professor Geek's channel, which is great. You guys would know postmodern. The Last Jedi is the seminal example of postmodernism and the deconstruction of a good thing. So there's your postmodernism if you needed a concrete example. Sorry, I'm whispering out loud. I'm reading out loud. Very good. Yeah, I probably should be talking more things. Yeah, that was I don't know how long that lecture was. It wasn't a lot. I'm actually, I was hoping for some of my the artists that follow me on in YouTube so we can have a discussion. Oh, more chat going down. Oh, some more stuff for me. Thank you. So we can keep the content running. Aged Boomer says, "Oh, you know, I should practice putting the chat up or the comments up. This is good practice, guys. Thanks for participating." All right, Aged Boomer, Sound Engraver says, I have an MFA in creative writing. One complaint I heard from fellow students is that academics don't consider certain fiction writers literary if they become too successful. Oh, that's interesting. Can I show this? Yeah, there it is. There it is. Whew. Congratulations, Aged Boomer, for your first comment of this live stream. Let's see if I can raise my head. There we go. See, you know, that liberal arts major. It's true. It's true. There's this antipathy towards success. Like if you are successful as an artist, you're not producing high art, which is just a fallacy. It's absolutely a fallacy. So, yeah, very good. Thank you, Agent Boomer, for that. Sound Engraver, do you feel as though art is objective? I hope I didn't miss that point if you've already made it. Well, let's just show that comment there. Yes, actually, that will be for another video. That will be for another video. I do have an argument for that, a case for why art is in fact objective, and I'm happy to prepare that video. I'm, you know, it's kind of cool and unnerving to present that live, especially if a lot of the artists who follow me on YouTube may, you know, jump in. It's not a popular idea, but I do have a strong case for it. In fact, I have supplemental videos on the idea. So yes, I do believe that art is objective. There is something about art that is subjective, and I think that's why that idea, that notion, is so prevalent in our culture. Why people say, "Oh, art is subjective." There are reasons for people saying that, and there's one thing that I can think of that is that one thing about art that makes it. Well, no, art is objective, but there is something about art that is subjective. So hopefully that didn't confuse you. But yes, I do believe art is objective, and I have my reasons for it. That will come whether in a live commentary like this or in a fixed video. So all seriousness now, this is Troy Pacelli. So Sound Engraver, can you speak to the I don't know art but I know what I like concept. I feel like there is an objectivity to art, not just subjective. That is worth a show as well. This is fun. This is fun. I'm getting to know how to do this. Yeah. I don't know art, but I know what I like. Well, here's the thing. I actually do believe that people do know art. I believe it is innate that people do understand art. A very brief little idea is that I believe art is a representation of reality. It's an expression of reality. And I can get to that in a bit when I have some more examples on hand. But I actually I think people think they don't know art, but I actually think people do have at least a fundamental grasp on what art is because they know what reality is. And art is an expression. It could be a concrete expression. It could be a conceptual expression that is very direct, very much the object, or it could be, a surreal expression. It could be an abstract expression of reality, but people understand reality. And so I think people to some degree can understand art. In fact, I will make a video. I have this planned where I have a couple of lists on how anyone, no matter where they're from, what language they speak, anyone can determine what good art is. And so I have a couple lists for that, and I'm excited to share for another commentary video. But yeah, so you're saying I feel like there is an objectivity to art, not just subjective. It's absolutely right. There is objectivity to art. I can't say that word. It's such an important word too. But yes, thank you. Let's see. Swift Justice says, Sound Engraver, I was mentioning John Mayer's In the Blood. Oh, interesting. I was actually just listening to that today, just to hear some of his songs before this stream, because I remember listening to an album of his, and I think that is part of that song is in this album I was thinking about, and I remember liking it. I remember just I'm a composer into contemporary music, experimental music, electronic music, not really listening to popular music and who's out and about these days. And I said, okay, I'll take a listen. And I remember really enjoying it. Really well-written stuff. Daniel Heron says, Sound Engraver, eye rolls. The Night We Met, Ghost on Shore, Love Like Ghost, The Yawning Grave, Lonesome Dreams. Is this the Lord Huron? Am I saying that right? There's The Children of Huron by Christopher Tolkien. Huron? I gotta check this out. Well, okay, let me just check this out. This is bothering me, Daniel. Lord Huron is an American indie folk based in Los Angeles. Cool. Yeah, okay. Indie folk. Those are some interesting names for folk. Indie folk. Yeah, great. And Los Angeles, yeah, that West Coast. Yeah, I know that flavor very well. And let's see. Let's go there. Troy Pacelli says, I haven't heard Alison Krauss in like 10 years. I mean, she's got some albums back 10 years ago and in the last decade, and she's been touring in the last decade. I like her older stuff. I just like that. I like that she can do fiddle and have that kind of old. It's not old actually. It's not an old country voice, but it's a very unique. She has a very, very unique voice. Nanette says, I'm married to an Italian. We eat a lot of onions and garlic. Yeah, so you're gonna have great, oral health. Because okay, here's a fun fact. Garlic. People say, oh, you must have bad breath because you eat so much garlic. Actually, garlic fights the bacteria that causes that bad breath. So very good oral health there, and great for your bloodstream. And yeah, very good. It sounds like you guys are fun to hang out with, and some good stuff, food and all that stuff that you talk about with all the franchises like Star Trek and Star Wars. Big Al Presents says, Sound Engraver. I always loved Celtic music. Clannad was a fave. Is that how you pronounce it? Clannad? It's a fave? Yeah, for sure. You know, I saw on YouTube on my feed, and I said not interested, and it's probably terrible of me to say, but I saw on my YouTube feed this worship music, this very famous, worship music. I don't think based on any hymns, but it was called Celtic worship. For modern Protestant worship songs, it was nothing like Celtic music. I was like, why? I maybe Celtic instruments, maybe one or two out of the 7 instruments, but it was nothing like Celtic music. I was like, and I'm actually I'm learning Irish fiddle songs this year. I got a couple great books from a parent last Christmas, a great book of Irish fiddle music and Scottish fiddle music. Scottish is a bit different. It is very unusual. I have to check it out. It's taking some learning, but the Irish jigs and all of that is good stuff. Good stuff. Oops. I got to make my way back up on the chat. Stephen Cruz says, Sound Engraver, have you heard about Niles from... Man, I don't know how to pronounce these words. Here, let's put this up. Niles from and the Hoxham Cloak. You guys have to put a dash next to it and say style or genre, because I don't know. Is it, well, you write electronic music. Is this electronic music, or is it progressive rock, or something like Ozric Tentacles, that psychedelic ambient rock? Swift Justice says, I hate postmodernism. Postmodernism. Yeah. It's this is going to be probably a series of videos that I will talk about, because just of my experience at the university in Seattle and also a little bit in Milwaukee. I'll kind of front what I'm thinking about producing as far as these videos and talking about. When I was a composition student in my early 20s, getting into my mid 20s, I'm very thankful I was naive. I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed student who just soaked up everything. And I was naive, and I'm so glad I was naive. The composition department and the faculty and some musicians in some groups, they played contemporary music and in 20th century music, getting into the 21st century music. And that's all well and good, and it has its place in music history. But in my naivete, I thought, oh, that's just one approach, right, to composition? Deconstructing everything, stripping the structure down, and getting rid of melody, and getting rid of sense of time and rhythm and all of that. That's just one approach, right? So I listened to these composers, and I actually, I appreciate a lot of them, and some of them really actually did quite beautiful poetic things with that music of the 1960s and 70s and 80s. But there were a few of them, and we'll get into this later, with music. And it's found in other art forms, but my specialty is in music. And I'm actually going to do probably a case study or two on YouTube with it. It's going to be fun, hopefully. But yeah, there were some of those who just wanted to destroy all that came before it. I will get into 2 very specific examples with 2 very specific composers in the future. I'm going to do a case study, and depending on the rules of YouTube, maybe I can play back the music. I'm not sure, but if anything, I'll try to do an analysis of the 2 composers and their pieces. Both are solo piano pieces written in the 1950s, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a bit of an experiment, but that's what postmodern music did. There was a historical reason for disregarding what came before, but then you get into the psychology and what 20th century philosophers were talking about, and then it's like, oh, you just want to destroy beauty. You just want to take things down. You don't want what came before it. You don't want to edify what came before it. You don't want to, improve upon what came before it. You just want to just, scratch and claw and just rip it down. So yeah, I understand. I understand the loathing of postmodernism. Troy Pacelli says postmodern jukebox does a lot of covers. Why don't we just go ahead and put that up? I'm gonna get in the habit of doing that. Postmodern jukebox does a lot of covers of modern songs in older styles, like a doo-wop version of Emmett Bop, or Emmett Bop. Is that how you say it? That's doo-wop and postmodern. I don't see the two going hand in hand, but I'll check it out. I'm curious. You got me curious. Big Al says, Darth Al, a reference to Professor and you talking about, oh. Why do you have that? Well, did he bring that up or did you watch me? Oh, Al. Yeah, cool. Can I talk? Can I call you Darth Al? I like it. But where's your Sith lightsaber? Man, but I love you on these videos. Like, you bring so much joy and chemistry, and you have that happy disposition that channel needs. Because I see a lot of not the profs channel, but I do see a lot of you just need a happy blend, like someone happy and then 3 other people who can express their malcontent. So yeah, okay. Awesome. Daniel Heron says, Sound Engraver. I don't need to say my name every time. Marketing, right? Those are Lord Heron songs, and I hope I'm saying that name right. How do you not know this? I don't know. I should branch out, but I feel like I do branch out when I listen to music. I mean, are you asking me that because I'm from the West Coast and I should know that? Here's the thing. Okay. So I think the prof and I think Big Al and Troy, I did mention this on the rewatch I was on. I'm very bad about not watching movies. It's time. I need to watch more movies. I need to know pop culture references. But even when it comes to music, I don't know a lot of famous people. You can't talk to me about specific actors and roles in films, and you can't talk to me. No, I mean, you can. I'm not saying don't talk to me like that, or don't bring that up. I don't need it. It's not that. It's I'll just have a, deer in the headlight look, because I'm like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. But that doesn't mean I won't look into it, because I like these references. I can refer back to these and learn as I go. So thank you very much for bringing this up. I need to watch more movies, and I need to know famous people. Swift Justice. Every time I hear the word fiddler or fiddle, I think of Fiddler on the Roof Sound Engraver. Why did I say my name? I read everything I see. Yeah. Good stuff. And that's definitely a different take on the fiddle, but it's still fiddle. Yeah, absolutely. H. Boomer says, it's interesting. I'm a big fan of the movie Blade Runner 2049, but I know there are many fans of the original Blade Runner movie that hated the sequel. Yeah, I'm not. As far as the movie is concerned, I did like the visuals. The thing is, I'm not aware. I've seen the original movie. I only saw it once. I have an idea of what it's about, but I haven't developed this kind of, that fan knowledge of it to be upset. It was a movie I enjoyed, and I don't know if if you guys really want to know me, I almost don't want to admit this. I mean, this is admitting this on my channel, so there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know if I'd admit this on the Profs channel, but I will admit this. I'm gonna go full disclosure on you guys. So Troy, just bear with me for a second. All of you guys, bear with me for a second. I will say this. When I first saw The Last Jedi, I do remember walking out to my car. I can't believe I'm confessing this. I do remember walking out to my car and saying, yeah, I like that movie. And it was because of one thing. Well, two things. It was the visuals, because I have an eye for that. Snoke's throne room scene, that red and the dark gray and the black, so awesome. It's too bad it was placed in a terrible story. And then the sound design. I loved the sound design. The use of the soundscapes in that film was spot on, phenomenal. And it was those two components that had me saying, yeah, I like that movie. But it was days later, when you think about a movie you've seen in the theater, and it was days later, and I started thinking about it. And then I started hearing what people were saying about it. I was like, oh yeah, this is a problem. But I remember my first impression, it was a positive one because of the visuals and the sound design. So don't get mad at me, guys. Don't get mad at me. Your assessment of what happened to Luke Skywalker is on point. It's right. It's the truth. But that was actually my first reaction to The Last Jedi was favorable because of the sound design. I was partial to the sound design. It was a really cool, like sound-wise, it was a really cool scene with Rey in that cave. I mean, it was really good sound. So it was that immersive experience that I love so much. It's too bad it was, imposed or superimposed, or however you say, immersed in a terrible story. Aged Boomer says, what happens when you like a work of art that is derided by others? What does that say about your taste? Yeah, here's the thing. And this is going to get into my other videos, depending on how much I talk about why art is objective and what about art is subjective. Taste and experience are what is subjective. So if you like something that is either loathed by others or talked down by others, or even if you like something that is not great, that's just a matter of taste. So for instance, occasionally I'll listen to some retro wave music. Now the genre itself is not terrible. It's not a terrible genre of electronic music. I do enjoy retro wave and some synth wave, but I have heard, retro wave and synth wave composed, subpar, or the audio production isn't quite there. And I can get past that. Or maybe there's a really great composition that I hear, but the audio production is poor. Actually, I would say maybe audio production is probably a separate thing, but let's say the composition is not quite there. And I accept that it's not quite there. It's not excellent. I could still like it. So liking something actually is not indicative of it being objectively good or objectively bad. Now, this is getting into some stuff I have to prepare for in the future, guys. I'm kind of thinking on the fly, but yeah, very good question. I hope that, Aged Boomer, I hope that answers your question. Swift Justice says, yes, but because not even bad bacteria can tolerate the stink of garlic. Garlic is amazing. If I could be compared to a food, I would like to be compared to I'd like to be as synonymous with garlic. It just goes well with all the dinners you make. I cook. I don't eat out. And the more I cook, the more I realize like I can, I eat some Cracker Barrel, and it's like I could cook better than this. And I only cook like 4 or 5 meals. I don't cook a lot, but anyway. Troy Pacelli says, so Professor Geek talks a lot about archetypes in terms of writing. Would you say there is something similar, something primal that music speaks to in all people? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, so that understanding of the hero that he talks about and other channels talk about, there is an understanding. Now, granted, it could come in a different form with different cultures, but you talk about primal, you talk about the primitive. Well, what's primitive is we understand time and space. Well, how is that embodied in music? It's embodied in rhythm, or it's embodied in percussion. So you want to talk about like the primitive cultures, or the old civilizations. They spoke in maybe telling stories in rhythm, or using instruments, developing instruments with the materials they had, and doing rhythm. So that's one example. But we have rhythm in us. We have a sense of beat. Now I teach music, and the hardest students I teach are the students that don't really have a sense of beat, and then they can execute the beat quite right. But there is rhythm in all of us. That's why I go back to Michael Jackson. In terms of popular music, he is known and loved because of his rhythm and his bass line. Yeah, his lyrics too, and the synths he used. But he was known as that showman, that showmanship, that dancer to the music. He had to have composed. He had to have written his songs with the bass and the rhythm in mind. So maybe not synonymous with that archetypal hero that we all innately know and accept and appreciate, or some of us do. But the understanding of rhythm, and that's found in any language, in any culture, in any region of the world, in any time, all that good stuff. Poetry, poetry that was sung, written in the Old Testament and sung, all that good stuff. Big Al Presents says, always surprised at friends who stop listening to a fringe artist once they become popular in the mainstream, even when the music is the same. Right? So it's not just in the academics, right? So this is a general thing. Thank you for bringing that up. Any examples you guys can think of, just let me know, because that's interesting. There's a bias against the successful. There's a bias against things being popular, things being, oh, heaven forbid, liked. Oh my goodness. I mean, since I'm speaking to the Professor Geek crowd, I mean, it's like, we'll talk about The Last Jedi. I mean, Luke Skywalker, a beloved character, right? They just couldn't stop. They couldn't hold back from totally deconstructing his character. Now, the thing is, it's not just the movie. It's not just these franchises, and it's not just Hollywood. It is art in general. This line, decades old. I mean, really at the start of World War I, really at the start of there was this artistic period in art history called Dadaism, in which language was stripped and made nonsensical, and that kind of filtered in to Dada avant-garde music as well. So I mean, this has been going on for a century at least. Daniel Heron says, Boston Pops, Alison Krauss, making it happen. Thank you. I'm going to put this comment up. Cannot tolerate garlic. I mean, everyone has something. What do I have? I'm better about it now. But for the longest time, I couldn't stand mushrooms. I don't really care for mushrooms, but I can eat it on a pizza a little bit better than I used to. But when I was a kid, the best thing in the whole world was my grandmother taking my sister and me to McDonald's, and we loved the cheeseburgers. And the reason we loved the cheeseburgers was it wasn't the cheese or the burger. It was actually those little minced onions that were just, just put in the cheap ketchup, and it was the best. Let's get everyone who's here tonight to give Sound Engraver a thumbs up to encourage her. Thank you. Thank you. I feel better already. Yeah, I was feeling real tired this morning, and or actually all day really. So I'm glad I have the energy now. If I look tired, I'm sorry. Aw, thanks. That's great. Do you guys mind if I post the comments up? I'm kind of having fun posting these comments up. Age of Boomer says, it's interesting. I'm a big fan of the movie. Oh, wait. What? Okay. Did this happen twice? Okay. Well, you got your comment posted twice. Yes. I don't think we went back in time, right? I think we're still going. All right. Let's, I wonder if I skipped it. Oh, man. See, guys, I'm a little bad with chat. I think I'm going back up. So just bear with me. You guys talk amongst yourselves while I do this. Actually, Aged Boomer. I mean, it's not directed to me, but I think, yeah, actually, I enjoyed the film, but I don't know enough about the story, so I guess I would probably be more analytical if I knew the story more. But, whew. I mean, those were some good visuals. And who was it? I think it was Johan Johannesson that composed the soundtrack. Good stuff. Really good stuff. It was not so much a soundtrack as much as it was like soundscapes, which I'm interested in. Johan Johannesson, yeah, I think he was actually supposed to be the composer for the upcoming Dune movie, but he unfortunately passed. He's the composer that wrote for the movie The Arrival, which I did see. I did enjoy. That's the thing about me in movies. Two things about me in movies. If I go to the theater, it's because I really, really, really want to see that movie. And I'll see it at like 10 in the morning, 3 weeks in, when no one's there. I like just sitting in and just absorbing. And just, yeah, I'm very strange. I know people like the crowds and the popcorn. I just absorb it like the artistic muse that I am. I'm gonna drink some water. Sorry about that. That picked that up. Sorry. Hopefully that didn't hurt your ears. All right. Ever heard of Angelo Badalamenti? Is that how you pronounce his last name? Very moody, jazzy, sometimes industrial. Industrial I like. If it's well done. I'm not into the stochastic, random industrial stuff, but I like the flavor. Kind of industrial electronic music that you'd probably find in like a steampunk fiction. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'll check it out. Thank you for the recommendation. But I still have respect for those who don't like it. Oh, you're talking about the sequel. Yeah, that makes me wonder if you can argue taste. Now, taste is not objective. Taste is not objective. Taste is subjective. Experience is subjective. And I do really want to do a separate video on this because there's so much to talk about and to be had regarding this. But taste, as numbers is not an indicator of good quality art. So you can like the visuals and the sound as I liked it in The Last Jedi, but understand that was, really the whole trilogy. This is kind of going on a tangent, and I hear all these reasons why, Disney's trilogy is just went south so fast. The one thing, almost even more than the deconstruction of Luke Skywalker, but probably not, probably second to that, is that the stories don't line up. There's no coherence. Star Wars is space opera. Opera being the operative word, right? Operative word. Yeah. It's opera. It's in 3 acts. There's a first act, second act, and a third act. And the sequence of events line right up. And there's a climax and a resolution. That there's none of that in the sequel trilogy. Even if you weren't a Star Wars fan, and even if you didn't care about the treatment of Luke Skywalker and the other characters, the fact that it's not a coherent story, that actually is what bothers me so much about it. And I could say, apart from the great visuals and the great sound, it's objectively terribly executed. Well, cinematography and all that is probably fine, but the story, no. And that's what film is the story with the picture before, but the story comes first, then the visuals. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Thank you guys for saying Sound Engraver first. That way I know you're talking to me. Both are electronic artists. A little hard to describe. Nile, is it Niles? Or Nils from? Is it German? Oh man, that does sound familiar. Anything German, I feel like I would know. German musician and composer. Favorite song says All Melody. The Hoxton Cloak is really dark but cool. Now I like the dark stuff. I like the ambient stuff. Now for me, Stephen, and you might vary as far as your tastes are concerned, but I really like the instrumental electronic music. I have a Now this is a taste. This is a thing of taste. I'm not saying this is a thing of judging things to be objectively good or not. I do not care for voice in electronic music unless it's really part of the instrumentation and really well done. I don't care for featured singers in electronic music. It's just not my thing. It's just not my style. Unless it's really well done, or I just, every time I hear it, I'm just not interested. There's also a trope. There's a trope. There's a cliche. I don't know if you'd call it a trope or a cliche, because trope is probably more literature. But we'll just call it a cliche where, and my favorite artists do this too, and I still listen to their tracks because I like them so much, where they'll insert like a piece of dialogue in the ambient space and in the soundscapes. And some of it's really well done. And some of it's for the effect, but I actually listen to this music when I write science fiction. So anything that has to do with words and hearing and understanding, I prefer the text to be, unintelligible, where it's, I think that's the right word to use. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I police myself when it comes to grammar and incorrect words. But yeah, if there are more songwriters in that electronic genre, I'm not totally disinclined. I just really stick with the instrumental. Might be a thing because I'm a violinist. I don't know. Maybe if I was an opera major or a vocalist, I would listen to more vocal music. But it's primarily electronic. I liked your sample that you showed on Twitter. I'm looking forward to the final product there. It sounds very, very interesting. And every time I see someone work in Logic Pro, it's like, yeah, Logic Pro. I love it. Nanette says, you might enjoy pentatonics. Let's see, pentatonics. Well, I know pentatonic, like the mode pentatonic. Now, I feel like I've heard this before. I know I've seen this name, and I feel like I have heard some music by this group, I think, right? Yeah, very good. Very good. All right. Yeah, thank you for the recommendation. I feel like I've heard this name. Yeah, I mean, like famous people, I it's not that I'm selective. I just listen to artists that aren't that well known. It's not a choice. It's just what I've come to learn and love. You just made me think. You should do a series of reactions, of videos to listening to music suggested by your followers. You should do a series of reaction videos to listing. Are you using the word listing to music suggested by your followers? Oh, can I do that on YouTube though? because I don't know if I could do playback. I would probably have to get that pre-recorded. I don't know. I would have to see the YouTube policy on that, because I don't think I could do anything that's not public domain as playback. I think I'd get dinged for that. But that'd be a fun idea. I love listening to new music and having a reaction on it. And you would get the raw reaction, whether I'd like it or not. Yeah. I mean, there is with the weird thing is with something like film or books, I can ease into liking something I didn't originally like. With music, it is different. Usually, I'm not on board the first hearing, and it probably is because I'm trained in music. I'm classically trained. I've got 8 years of higher education behind me, so maybe I have just like that sensibility for that kind of thing. But yeah, that would be a raw reaction for sure. Would you want my honest opinion? Because I would give it. But again, taste is subjective. It's not objective. I am one to say, even if it's something I don't care for, if it is good art, I will say it's good art, even if it's not something I care for. So, Swift Justice, how did I break your heart? That breaks my heart hearing that. What's going on with that? I must have missed my train of thinking, or that line of thought. What is this? Oh, unsub? I hope not. Is this from the last? I hope you guys are unfollowing me. That'd be so sad. I'm still checking out Professor Geek's stuff. It's so great. You liked Last Jedi, unsubbing and praying for you right now. Just kidding. Okay, so you are kidding. Gosh, thank you. Yeah, but it wasn't because of the story. I actually, with the treatment of Luke Skywalker upon first seeing that, I actually put a filter. It was like a moment where I put the filter. It was just spectacle for me. It was just seeing the stuff and hearing the sound. But if it makes you feel better, guys, I did not see Rise of Skywalker. I had no interest, none whatsoever. Part of it was Last Jedi, but when they brought the Emperor back, I was like, no, you can't do that. The hero has an arc, the villain has an arc. There's closure to both sides, and that was pandering. When I get a sense that I'm being pandered to, I say no. I decline. Well, I'm glad you guys are kidding. I was wondering how I broke your heart. I was like, oh, Last Jedi. Yeah. No, the sound, guys. The sound. Just the sound. Nothing else. But that throne room, come on, guys. That dark red really was cool. But that was pretty much it. So mad at you now. Dang. Well, I could take it. I don't mind conflict. Bill, Big Owl presents You Are Not Alone. Oh, as far as enjoying stuff, as bad as the story might be, I will enjoy good sound. That is a given. Now, this is why we have to do that rewatch of Lord of the Rings, because you got the great story and the great sound and the great score. Yeah, that's good stuff. See, Lord of the Rings is going to stay a classic because of that. Jedi, the thing is, the sequel trilogy, give it 10 years. It's going to be forgotten. And all for what? Deconstruction. And again, goes back to art in general. I actually only see all of, the profs crowd. So I'm being very honest about art. I'd be honest about art anyway with other people watching, but I feel comfortable with you guys. That's what I'm saying. All right, so Daniel Heron, that's funny. Are we not all alone? Welcome to my world. Not thinking The Last Jedi was a total dumpster fire. If someone gives you a hard time, I got your back. Yeah, I mean, story is very important, and what they did to the central character, and the fact that they waited until the very last second of Force Awakens to show Luke's face. I laughed at that when I saw that. and I was into the credits, and I was talking to a friend on the phone about that. I was like, that was really strange. They chose to do that. They waited till the last second of the first full installment, the first act of the opera, to bring Luke Skywalker back. So weird. Such weird choices. But yeah, even though I have good taste in sound design, it's still not that good a film. But thank you. Yes, Al, I like your cheerful disposition. Yes, we need people like you in this world. We need Prof's intellect though, and his banner of truth though. That is true. We absolutely need that, but we need your cheerful disposition as well. Olive oil, onion, and garlic. Yeah, I mean that's my dinner every night. Olive oil, onions, garlic, bell peppers. You know, the one color of bell pepper I don't care for is green, but the hot colors, the yellow, orange, red, throw that in the mix. Spinach, steamed broccoli. I need my potassium. You know, of course, everyone needs potassium, and I'm not a fan of bananas, so I steam broccoli and eat avocado instead. I'll put a banana in a smoothie or something, but I don't care for the texture of banana. I'll have to force myself. If the banana is the only form of potassium in my apartment, I'll eat it, but I won't like it. But it's objectively good for you. Big Al presents. You're breaking my heart here, Al. Oh, Shopmaninoff, welcome. Well, we're still talking. Well, we're still talking. And go ahead and look at the lecture in the beginning. Hopefully I was coherent. Usually I say things on the fly, like just impromptu, but I had notes in front of me and I felt like I was stuttering. Now I'm not second guessing my performance. But yeah, I had to have those notes to get my thoughts in order. Too bad I don't know the reference, but I'm sure it's funny to someone. I think our artistic tastes have a lot to do with the households we grew up in. My parents were big into movies, so I got a lot of exposure to them through my childhood. Oh, I think so. I think that's a huge factor. It's definitely a variable. I would say, I mean, growing up with my grandpa and the country music, and then my other grandfather, who was a Presbyterian pastor, growing up with the hymnals and the structure and the harmony there, growing up with classical music, country music, all that stuff, definitely a huge influence. That impressionable stage as a child. I will say, I think, I can't remember. My dad recently said he does not care for Kenny G, but I could have sworn I heard Kenny G as a kid when I was with him. But maybe that was a false memory. He's like, I can't stand Kenny G. What are you talking about? I was like, oh, I thought you liked Kenny G. The point is, if that was a part of my childhood, that's something I disregarded because I didn't care for it. And it's sad too, because actually a lot of people don't care for the soprano saxophone because of Kenny G. And that's so sad because the soprano saxophone is actually a pretty nice instrument. I like it. Excuse me, I need some water. My mouth is drying up. I think that would be the advantage of having guests on board. So I'm not the only one talking. Shotmaninoff, Elisa, Kara, did you listen in? And now you're arriving to the real time chat. I'll check her out. I'm assuming it's a her. It sounds like a her. Well, I'm just gonna check her out right now. 1 second, guys. Oh, there you go. Known professionally as Alessia Cara, Canadian singer, songwriter, and multi instrumentalist. Acoustic covers, very cool. 1996, so young. So young. I don't know. Have we? Blade Runner, the soundtrack is really good. The original, oh, so good. Love that stuff. Oh, okay. Thank you for that clarification. I don't know why I was thinking of Johan Johannesson. All right. Yeah, it's been a couple years since I saw that, so I didn't check out the composer. I should have before I mentioned the example. Thank you, Daniel. Oh, okay. I need to post this to clarify. I posted it twice, but I deleted the original. I wanted the word. I'm so that way. I am so that way. I wanted to word the statement better. My Twitter. Oh man, my Twitter. Like if it's not lined up just right, or if it's grammatically incorrect, I'll actually delete the tweet and retweet it. I wish Twitter gives you the edit option. It doesn't, and I'm just that way. I'm just constantly checking and rechecking. I know that sounds like I'm insecure. I probably am, but the way I tweet is very very well thought out in advance. So all the tweets that you see take a little time. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Understandable. I'm exactly that same way. Yeah. I don't know why. Oh, cool. Okay. I didn't see that movie, but I heard it was really good. Yeah. Yeah, I like him as a composer. It's just too bad he passed away. He was like in his 40s. Um Finnish, I think he is, or Icelandic. I gotta see. Johannesson. That's his name right. Norwegian. Norwegian. Yeah, good stuff. I mean, great soundscapes up there. So Big Al says, not yet, Troy. We have not done a Blade Runner rewatch. And then Troy says, we must. Speaking of instrumental electronic music, what do you think of Flume? I should look them up. I don't know. I don't know about them. So yeah, keep name dropping, because I mean, not incessantly, like don't say the same name over and over again, but keep these coming, because I don't know who these artists are. You have your favorite artist, right, that you turn to, but I try to explore as much as I can. Have you ever listened to the musical version of the War of the Worlds? No, I have not. How old is it? The one by Jeff Wayne? I haven't. That would be pretty interesting. Do you know what year it was written? That'd be pretty interesting to check out. You could check out Anthony Fatano's channel for well done critical videos on YouTube. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. That is a good idea. That's right. I think I caught that. So Sound Engraver, you're saying epic rewatch of Lord of the Rings? You, the prof, me, Big Al Presents, Nanette, the whole fellowship? Yeah, would that mean that we'd have to have 9 companions? I was just thinking about this today. I think I don't know if I should record this statement out loud, but we have this just I think we just have this dread now that things are just going to be rebooted. Just wait. I don't think not until well after the 50th anniversary of the original Star Wars, but I guarantee that thing is going to be rebooted, and I won't watch it. But I was thinking about, like, are they going to reboot Lord of the Rings? And I was kind of joking. I was thinking jokingly, like, I wonder, instead of 9 companions of men, it would be all women. And just like, no, don't do it. Oh, I think I'm gonna have a lot more fun when you guys are on chat. Yeah, but I'm up for the I definitely am up for some music score analysis. It's not the analysis probably in a way where you would analyze an opera or analyze classical music, but there are gems to be had with Howard Shore's work. It's just really good, and I love the credit scene music at the end of the Return of the King. It closes things out, with Annie Lennox and her song there. It starts out great and it ends great, and it's just wonderful. Lord of the Rings, yeah. I mean, it couldn't include everything in the book, but what Peter Jackson did with what he could do, I've got no complaints. YouTuber listening in just did a 3-part on Lord of the Rings score. Worth checking out and Inside the Score. Oh yeah, Inside the Score too. Did several videos on the score as well. Highly recommended. And they could do that with the licensed music. That's interesting. I would definitely take a look at that too before we would do a rewatch. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Oh, Troy is talking to. Oh, okay. That's a movie reference I don't know. Troy is talking to Swift Justice. Aww. I mean, it's sentimental. I see you to be the sentimental type. Where are Nanette's thoughts on that? Now, again, it's taste. It's taste. If you want me to do a thorough analysis of Kenny G, I will. I'll be objective. I mean, the thing is, here's the thing. I hear a melody of his right now. So obviously he did something right. So, I mean, and I did listen to it while playing board games. So it's, as a kid. So yeah, I'm torn. 1978. Okay. 70s rock. Yeah, actually, I kind of am. I got to get back into these bands. Bands like Gentle Giant. I really do appreciate that kind of troubadour, telling of old tales, almost like that King Arthur flavor that the bands of the 70s did. I really do enjoy that. Stephen Cruz says, who are some artists or composers that you would like or love to work or collaborate with? Well, I've got my favorite record label following me on Twitter, but they're not really that active on Twitter. And it had been like a secret dream of mine to, do something with them, with Ultimate Records, because I love their music so much. Like a fantasy I would have is like if I was playing some violin piece that I learned, one of, I'm learning a number of different violin pieces for literature, all fairly advanced. And I would just love if, Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater stumbled upon one of my videos and said, hey, we should do something. That would be awesome. Jordan Rudess, he's pretty much my favorite musician. And I do like Dream Theater, but I like his solo ventures as well. And he follows me on Twitter. So there is that chance. But him, like, he's a wizard on the piano. I mean, I don't think I'll ever, attain that level of mastery on the violin as he has on piano. But that's okay. I mean, I am a composer too. That is my main emphasis and focus as well. I just include violin in it. I've mastered the violin, but it's not. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a world-class violinist. I wanted to travel the world and all of that. That has changed. Who else would I like to collaborate with? There are some artists. Trip Switch. Oh, I'm sure I can name a few if I thought long enough. Yeah, I did. I think I always will. Thank you. I go to them. They're doing more techno glitch, which is fine, but I love their older albums, in the 2000s and even in the 90s, and 2010s as well. That was a good decade. Annie Lennox's Into the West wanted to play it at my funeral. Why not? I mean, first of all, the idea of even you having a funeral is sad, so I don't want to dwell on that. But that's not a bad song, because Into the West is symbolic of that journeying home, heavenward. Yeah, why not? It's a great song, and her voice was perfect for that, I think. Kenny G, isn't he an instrumental guy? or eh. He's not all that memorable to me. I can remember one specific melody. So he did his job, you know, like him or not, he definitely did his job doing that. Yeah. You can do a score analysis, but YouTube will not pay you money usually. Yeah, and I don't need to be paid. I just don't want to be dinged. I don't want to be, you know, put on the red tape or whatever that is. That's the phrase I'm looking for. So as long as I don't get into trouble, I think that would be fine. I don't mind not being paid. That's not a problem for me. Good to know, though. Thank you, Daniel. I'll get Annie Lennox there herself just for you. Yeah, she's definitely that artist type. I like that voice. I mean, honestly though, I haven't heard her much apart from that song. She did a Christmas album a while ago, and I saw the music videos. It was a little. It's very artsy. It was very very absurd in a way, but that's how artists roll, you know. Ladytron. Oh, that sounds familiar. Just the name alone, though. Anything with the word Tron in it, I think I would like. Do you like rock operas like Tommy by The Who or pseudo-narrative classic rock albums by Pink Floyd's The Wall? I definitely could get into that style. I haven't listened intently to that kind of stuff, and certainly a while. But you know, like the Pink Floyd and I mean, kind of that cinematic. I mean, even if it's not including vocal, like Tangerine Dream, Vangelis. Is it Red Shift, the band, or is that the track name I'm thinking of? Yeah, but yeah, that kind of cinematic, operatic thing, I could definitely look into. I like Bruno Mars, but for classical, Shostakovich. Cool. Yeah, very cool. That's dark stuff. That is deep stuff. I have to be in a particularly happy mood to listen to Shostakovich because it's. I mean, his music really was a product of the war-torn land he lived in, and just all that decimation and trudging and all of that. But yeah, cool. I'm glad you mentioned him. Very good. Chapmaninoff says, Nanette Pacelli and Troy Pacelli, are you watching the same stream in different rooms? That's interesting. That'd be fun to see. And it's surreal for me to say that because I'm talking about me talking about this. Same stream, same room on the big screen TV. We're literally 5 feet from each other. Kenny G did a great Christmas album. Did you guys see that? I saw the impending wheel. I bet I know what that is too, if it's gonna worsen. But in any case, we can try wrapping it up. It is 11:30. Oh, I'm all catching up with chat. Is there any video game music that you find really compelling, or that you even know that you like? Well, I'm glad you asked. I actually, one of the biggest inspirations that got me to composing music was the epic, unparalleled, unprecedented music score for the Donkey Kong Country series. I mean, series 1, 2, and 3. You want to give me grief about Donkey Kong 3? The gloves are off. We can have it out right now. All the music is great. Dave Wise and Eveline Fisher. Dave Wise, I think if I have it right, Dave Wise was a composer for it. He was the composer for it. I think Eveline Fisher, I think what she was she was more the composer, and I think he was the electronic synthesizer arranger. He was the composer though there too. But the two worked together, I think. And then I think Eveline Fisher did 3 by herself. All of it's great. I would have to, if I, like, gameplay wise, Donkey Kong 2, good. And actually, people probably shouldn't talk about this because I don't know if I would ever do it. I would love to do it if I had the equipment and the space to do it. I would. If I had the time, I should. Why am I admitting this? But people say, Michelle, you should do cover songs. You get really well known doing cover songs. And I'm just not about that. I'm about composing original music. I'm about doing my own stuff. However, I would do electronic music and violin for things like Donkey Kong, for the score of Donkey Kong. Also Final Fantasy. Now, this is one part of the childhood I know I missed. I'm so sad of this. I know a part of my childhood is missing, but I never played Final Fantasy. I wish I had. We never had Final Fantasy, my sister and me, but soundtrack is awesome. Stories are great. And in particular, I think it was Final Fantasy. How did they number it? Because it was different in Japan than it was in the Northwest or in the North America. I think it Final Fantasy IV with Kefka. Oh, so it's like, it's so good. It's so good. Uematsu, it's so good. So yes, I would definitely do cover art or cover songs for that kind of that kind of soundtrack. Yeah. So thanks for asking. That's a very important question to ask. Thank you, Troy. Hopefully you liked it. Any other game soundtrack? I didn't play enough. I mean, I played Mario. In fact, actually, my sister and I, we would do 2 things when we played Super Nintendo. We'd have very deep philosophical conversations and fights and all arguments while playing Mario. And this was in the 4th grade, But one thing we did do is, especially for Super Mario 2 with Princess Toadstool. And by the way, her name is Toadstool. She was Peach later, but she is Toadstool to me, and Toad and all that. And it's such a great melody. It's such a catchy melody, and it's written in C. It's written in C, and it's just so nice. And we would harmonize the melody. We'd come up with all these different harmonies. We'd just kind of sing as duet. And I would sing the harmony, but you'd have to hear the melody first. So yeah, I would do things like that. Final Fantasy, definitely Donkey Kong. No question, Donkey Kong. And I liked the Nintendo 64 version of it too. Actually, the composer who wrote for Donkey Kong 64 is following me on LinkedIn. It seems like a nice guy. The one track I liked for him was Hideout Helm. The instrumentation is okay for what it was back then. I would do a total remixing and remastering of that alone. So, I mean, I have to get that skill though, but hopefully that answers your question. Sorry, I went on a little rant there. See Professor Geek, thank you. Got caught up in work. At least I made it to the Donkey Kong portion. Yeah, very good. I keep hitting my headphone cable. What is this? What is this? Instagramophone sounds like an old-timey instrument. Oh, wait. There. Maybe I just added some context there. Shop Mononov says, do you listen to any hip-hop rap at all? About 8 to 10 years ago, I did listen to a lot of Christian rap by artists like Lecrae, Tripoli, Flame. I apparently there's this huge lawsuit between Flame and Katy Perry. I was like, Flame, the Christian artist? I was like, that's sad when Christians try to take people to court for things, and not even for any good reason. There was no backing his argument, unfortunately. I think that's the case I'm thinking. Rap, I mean, I can understand the poetry. It has to be well done though. Again, like with any music, it has to be well done. It's got to be poetry because it's relying on words and rhythm and the nuance of the words flowed together and streamed together. When I listen to the car next to me, driving to work, and the rhythm's not there. It's just relying on beats. The poetry isn't there. It's like that's terrible. Also, I mean, the content, I mean, gets a bad rap. It's a little bit, you have to. I guess you'd have to dig deep for wholesome rap. I guess I don't know if it's common to see wholesome rap. I listen to clean lyrics. I don't listen to angry lyrics or lyrics with profane context and all of that. And the thing is, I don't really listen to vocal music, period, besides Alison Krauss, Punch Brothers, String Dusters, like the bluegrass I like, and Loretta Lynn, the old stuff that I like. Other than that, I don't really listen to words. Aged Boomer says, I used to own the soundtrack for Donkey Kong Country. Unfortunately, it was on cassette and I wore it out. Yeah, that's what happens with cassettes. Yeah, unfortunately. It's so funny with cassettes because I used to just listen so obsessively to the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. I mean, to the point, and there would always be that stop, that hard stop of the cassette player in the middle of the song, in the middle of the music. And so when I recently listened to one of his concertos, it's not a well-known concerto. In fact, I understand he wrote it as a boy, as a student, as a form of exercise, but it's a gorgeous violin concerto. And I'm listening to it on YouTube, just expecting that hard stop of the cassette tape, just like, oh no, it's still going. Yeah. Oh, but actually, Aged Boomer, if you're interested, I mean, there are a lot of remixes of the Donkey Kong soundtrack, or just the original. It's just so good. It's just so, yeah. Actually, Donkey Kong, more than any of the classical composers that came over time, but Donkey Kong and Dave Wise and Eveline Fisher, those were the composers. That was the soundtrack that really got me inspired to compose. I think, what was the Mines one and the first one? It's got that. Actually, that is my first exposure to electronic music, because that is electronic music. We've been talking about Donkey Kong for 2 hours. Got a little weird. That's not true, Agent Boomer. Oh, and you weren't even talking to me. Sorry. I didn't understand what you're saying. What do you think of Lindsey Sterling, speaking of electronic violin stuff? Excuse me for taking a swig. I really do like her. She's gotten a lot of people on board to learn violin. I got students because they wanted to sound like her. What do I think of her as an artist? Well, I enjoy her music. And for what it is. I think it's great for what it is. She's got some tracks that I really do like. She kind of sticks to a formula, which is okay. And she sticks with a chord progression and kind of a dynamic sweep of motion that is also okay. I can't listen to it for very long. Like, sometimes I'll binge on her music and just feel like it. And some of her tracks I really do like, but she is really more for that dance mode. I like it. Dance music in electronic music is not the kind of electronic music I listen to. Not that it's bad. There's a lot of her stuff I really like, but she does have that appeal to the younger crowd, and it is more of that. She is like the Bruno Mars or Justin Timberlake in terms of showmanship. That's who she is as her artistic persona. And but her music stands alone as well. I haven't played any of her music. I think I can, but don't expect me to dance to it. I'm a little harsh when I think there was this boy. See, I don't watch TV. I don't have TV. I haven't had TV in like 16 years. But I'll have some gals from church say, there's this boy on American Idol or America's Got Talent, and he plays violin, and he's got this sweet story and all that good stuff. And so I saw a YouTube video of him, and I'm so harsh. I'm really harsh because he's a capable violinist, and he's a capable dancer. But the stuff you see on stage, it can't be done both. It's pre-recorded. He's dancing, and he's doing a great job dancing, but he's not playing and dancing at the same time. I actually, for kicks, I modeled his moves with what he was playing. I listened to the music, did a little bit, and then I did his motion. It's physically impossible to get that tone, even mic'd, even clear with high production quality with those moves. With Lindsey Stirling, it's the same way. Her medium is video, the music video. I posted a music video actually on Twitter about a week or two ago. Beautiful woman with a beautiful guitar and classic guitar in this beautiful room, and it was focused on her and her guitar. And I was like, that's what music videos are to me. I don't watch music videos because I always think it's more about the videos than it is the music. I'm like, no. The music should come first before music videos. Music, the word, comes first before videos. So anyway, if you guys are tired of me, just you're not obliged to stay on. Let's see. Oh, am I skipping some stuff? Oh, hold on. I will get back to that. I feel like I'm skipping some stuff. Oh man, I'm skipping a lot of stuff, guys. Sorry. Oh, that's not for me. I guess I can come to the point where you guys, if I can encourage you to write sound engravers, I know that you're talking to me or you have questions. Shotmaninoff says, not talking about the dancing violin antics as much as the music itself. Oh yeah, actually, her music can stand alone. Like her albums are fine. In fact, I don't really watch her videos. I don't have the need to watch her videos, even if it's well done or if it has a strong appeal to people. And some of it's great. Here's the thing with me. Call me a traditionalist. I play violin, so I've played for 23 years now, and I know the instrument intimately. So when I see something on video, emotion, or if I see someone playing a violin or cello or whatever the case may be, or a piano, like a piano on the rocky beach, it's like I can't. When you hear a piano with reverb, like you would hear in a church or a cathedral, or a controlled room and a controlled environment like a studio, and you see a piano on the beach, or you hear the violin on the beach. When there's wind whipping in someone's hair, it's like you wouldn't hear the violin because of the wind, or you would hear like just like, and so that gets to me. That's very distracting to me as someone who sees that. I can't. If I ever do a music video, I actually would love to do music videos, but it would be focused on the playing. It would be focused on not the controlled space, the room, like something like this, and if I ever get out of student debt and get a piece of property and have a nice music studio, you'd see that. But so going back to Lindsey Stirling, all that is post-production. Yeah, she may be performing, and yeah, she might be doing, it's kind of like actors who do the speaking on stage or on the scene for the cameraman, but then they do ADR in a controlled environment. but we can get that connection seeing movies. I can't really get that connection in an environment where she's singing or she's playing violin, but she's doing these incredibly physical movements that in no way, shape, or form would ever produce that tone, that violin tone. And so I can't get past that. But for other people, it's like, okay, yeah, it's fine. So hopefully you liked that little rant. Do 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 do. Ooh, I know this is to Professor Geek, but can I comment? Virtual church seems odd. Yeah. I was listening to someone on the radio, and he made a pretty interesting point. He's like, should we call it church if we're not together as a body of believers? Now this might be Catholicism we're talking about, but it's the same everywhere. And it's yeah. I don't know where I am on that debate. I do hope it's short term. I have a feeling though, and this might be just a rant. We don't have to get into this, but I have this funny feeling that once things come back into place and we go back to doing things more actively outside in the social circles, and this could be, of course, a number of months. We don't know. I feel like it's gonna this movement or this stage is actually weeding out all the people who didn't want to come to church in the first place, because then they're gonna like, I wanted to make my omelet while listening to the sermon. I wanted to sing in my pajamas, But no, I think church, it has to be with the body of believers. I understand the precautions we're taking. It's important. But I certainly hope this is short-lived or short term. Anyway, Daniel, I didn't mean to. I was just wanting to add on to that. I'm getting thirsty. I have to invite guests on now because my mouth is getting dry. Excuse me. Oh, interesting. I never had NES, but I had a cousin who had NES, and we had oh man. There's this one game I remember called Dragon Spirit. And for chiptune, 8-bit, 8-bit. What is that? 120, 128 of the capacity. Great soundtrack. So good. So good. The game was so, rudimentary and so, it was very tough gameplay because it was NES, but man, Dragon Spirit, check it out. Just check out like a walkthrough. It probably won't be more than 40 minutes because I think it's like 10 levels. But Dragon Spirit had really awesome for the technology and for the capacity involved at that time. Phenomenal music. Objectively good music. Even if you don't care for chiptune, objectively good music. Well, thank you. I know that's not directed to me, but kind of. Thank you. Were you into the CCM scene? Newsboys for the win. Okay, is that musicals? Newsboys? I had to look that up. Sorry, guys. Talks amongst yourselves. Music? I don't know what you mean. Oh, okay. So I did CCM. Is Christian contemporary music? Is that what you mean? Or Newsboys for the Win? Is that a Christian band? I gotta know. If you want to talk about Christian contemporary music, Christian rock band founded in 1985. I've got to be extra careful talking about Christian music because on the one hand, I have to come from a place of grace. I do think things are lacking in the Christian worship scene. A variety of variables, I think. Speaking as a Christian, speaking as a musician, speaking as someone who studied music, yeah. There is. I've had construction. I've had construction uh, on my building, so I haven't really had the chance to record quality stuff. But I'm thinking for these times ahead, if people need encouragement, I'm thinking about doing a separate channel because I have 2 Gmails, where it's just me singing hymns, and might do violin too, but I might just sing. I'm not a professional singer, but just singing hymns, getting it cleaned up, the sound cleaned up for encouragement, because hymns are just where it's at. Hymns are where it's at for the edification of the church, encouragement for the believer. It's not even so much worshiping God as much as it's edifying the church. It is worship. I mean, it's talking about that reverence, but it's so uplifting in difficult times. So I'm just playing around with that idea, but it wouldn't be on my Sound Engraver channel. I think it'd be on a separate channel. But yeah, man, we should talk about Christian contemporary music. I have, depending on who my audience is, because the people who follow me on YouTube are composers and artists themselves. They might not be interested in talking about contemporary music, or Christian music, but I've got stuff to say. But I'd have to come from a place of grace and being hospitable, in my opinion, because I do think there are some concerns. I have concerns with some of the music there. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm my mouth is getting dry. I'm so glad StreamYard doesn't pick up my mouth sounds. This is great. I don't think you guys can hear my mouth sounds. Oh, sorry, that's not to me. No, I guess, well, I saw my name. Gets to these Cuber and Frogger. Frogger, yes. Yes, Frogger's good. I've had dreams that I was the frog. You ever have Frogger dreams? Like you see a semi just coming. I don't think that's a recurring nightmare. Anyone have recurring nightmares? I have one. Zeal, welcome. I've seen you. What's your take on patching versus code versus standard DAW workflow? I don't do a lot of patching. You mean you like pure data and I'm blanking on the name. Pure data, plug visual, max MSP. I haven't done that since college. I haven't done pure data since college, but I do work in SuperCollider, and I do work in SuperCollider as much as I work in Logic Pro. And the great thing, I don't know if you've seen my other videos in SuperCollider, my SuperCollider demo videos, but the great thing about SuperCollider and Logic Pro is it follows a MIDI protocol. They both follow a MIDI protocol, so I can actually record MIDI data with SC code. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for asking. I hope that answered your question. Patching, no. I know some people do. I follow some artists who do that exclusively, and I think that's cool. The closest thing I did to patching, I did this FM module for a concert for my master's, and it was me just like lightly touching the keyboard, the computer keyboard, to get the FM synthesis. It's like, it's R2D2, R2D2. He speaks FM, in case you guys wanted to know. That's why he can actually talk to the X-wing, Luke Skywalker's X-wing, because, as you know, as Big Al knows, he saw that I worked with frequency modulation, and I was making those sounds. So yeah, it's not the code, it's just frequency modulation. I feel like Kanye is a great producer because he uses the voice as an electronic instrument in its own right. That's interesting. Yeah, and Michael Jackson did that too. So using the voice like an instrument, I did that exclusively for my master's. I did solo voice with fixed media and live signal processing using my voice. I got to get back into warming up my voice and my vocal cords. I do have a voice. People say I do, but not like I've approached it like the violin. But when my violin was stolen in my undergrad, it took me a few years to get another one, a good sounding one. So I was kind of like, going for, a time without the violin. So I decided to use my voice for my master's, and did a lot of experimental stuff with my voice. So yeah, that's cool. Are you a fan of Charlie Brown and the rest of the Peanuts gang? Like in general? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No question. Who doesn't like the Peanuts? I mean, it's Charlie Brown is great. Like, Charlie Brown is that he's a character. Oh, come on, Professor, help me out. There's got to be an archetype for Charlie Brown. He's like an everyman, but he's not. He's like pity me kind of character, but he's still likable. I don't usually care for the woe is me kind of characters, but Charlie Brown I like. Everyone seems to like Charlie Brown. And I think it's because he's also got the chemistry, with the gang. You got Snoopy, you got Woodstock. Snoopy's the best. He's kind of Charlie Brown's foil in a way, because the backstory of Charlie Brown is he just wanted a dog. He's just a kid who wants a dog, and he ends up picking Snoopy from Daisy Hill Puppy Farm. Yeah, how I remember that, I don't know. And it's not just Snoopy, but I think it's this whole family of relatives who are unusual. They're kind of that human. They've got that human aspect, where he's sunbathing on his doghouse instead of going in, and you wonder what inside his doghouse looks like, because there's like a stairwell that goes into something. I don't think there's an episode that reveals the insides of his doghouse, so it's left to your imagination. But yeah, I do care for. I really do like Charlie Brown. You gotta watch Charlie Brown Thanksgiving when it's Thanksgiving. Gotta watch Charlie Brown Christmas when it's Christmas. How long has this been going? Almost 2 hours again, guys. Almost 2 hours again. If you're talking Charlie Brown, what about... Yeah, exactly. Mr. Aldi. I mean, yeah, let's talk about him. I mean, yeah. Great bass line intro with piano, or maybe it's bass, I'm not sure. And especially the Christmas time album. So good. Him and Mancini, Henry Mancini for Pink Panther. And he did, what was it called? It was Two for the Road, I think, but what was that? Oh, Charade, the movie with Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant. I know some movies. I know some movies, but I think Mancini did that one too. Yeah, that's iconic stuff right there. You've got it. Charlie Brown is the everyman, but he's in the flavor of the woe of modern man, like T.S. Eliot's long son of J. Alfred Prufrock. I don't know if I said that right. Cool. Yeah. And but the thing is, he's likable. And I think it's because, and go ahead and correct my assessment or add on to it, Prof. I think it's just because he's got that gang of characters with him. It's not just by himself. He goes through what he goes through with, the intellect and the compassion of Linus, the antagonism of Lucy, of course. Snoopy kind of just always, I don't know what Snoopy does to Charlie Brown, but it is some form of torture in a way. He's more popular than Charlie Brown. Yeah, it's great. You got Peppermint Patty, who is that tomboy who also likes Charlie Brown. And of course, and you probably could relate to this, Prof, but Charlie Brown has this thing for a redheaded girl. And I think there's an episode where he gets a note before leaving, before the bus leaves, before her bus takes off for the summer. And The letter says, "I like you, Charlie Brown," signed Little Redhead Girl. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then he has to wait the whole summer before he sees her again. According to Alexa, Charlie Brown is an American archetype known as the lovable loser. I haven't heard that before. Have you, Prof? The voice of Siri follows me, or the actress who she follows me on Twitter. I think she follows a couple of you on Twitter too. I feel like she does. I've seen her nearby you guys. I got this. Well, actually, I might be talking about this a little bit later, but I pretty much got jilted. A voiceover gig. I've done a couple of voiceover projects that actually, unfortunately, was a no-go, and I'm not gonna sell myself like that again. Not good. But I can do voiceover work. I've done it before, and one of the complaints though I had from people on the project was, one, I was American. You know, when they expect English, they expect British English, but also they said, "Why does she sound like Siri?" I was like, "Thank you." John Williams played piano on the Pink Panther. Oh, the movie, the original movie. That's pretty cool. I never saw the movie. I know the premise. It's like a heist, right? It's a heist with a that involves a diamond called the Pink Panther. Like if you could see inside the diamond, you see a Pink Panther or something. Cartoons are the best. Oh my goodness, those Pink Panther cartoons. See, I grew up with the cartoons that had only action and music. Tom and Jerry, Pink Panther. I mean, I listened to, I watched Hanna-Barbera as well, you know, with Flintstones and Jetsons and Scooby-Doo and all that. But I mean, there's just nothing better than that slapstick comedy with no words, just action, and any dialogue involved with Pink Panther is just this cloud with images like popping up when two human characters are talking to each other. It's the best. Probably should wrap this up soon. It's almost going 2 hours. But the point of these videos is so I have time to do art. But the best thing is I don't have to edit. So this is so fun. Like I lose track of time because it's so fun. This one's not directed to me, but it's worth putting up. I have never thought of asking Alexa about archetypes. I'm so used to easy access to Professor Geek. Why not? You know, infinite knowledge on the archetype. Why not? Ginger fever. Oh, cool. So yeah, ginger fever. It's true. I've got this. I teach this one girl. I met her at 9. Now she's about 10. She hated turning 10. She hated being in the double digits. She doesn't want to leave being a kid. But she's a redhead. And so when I first saw her, long, beautiful red hair, and she chopped it to a pixie cut, and I noticed and I complimented. She looked really cute. But before we started our violin lessons, I was looking at her. I was like, you know, promise me one thing. Just promise me one thing. You can cut your hair. You can do whatever there, like any style, but promise me you'll never color your hair, because your hair, like, it's a rarity. And she's like, yeah, I think so. I think redheads are an endangered species. And it's true. They are. And they're being replaced. They're being replaced. It's not fair. I would love to have red hair. I don't think I have red hair in my family. I have a cousin. It's sad and ironic. He had red hair actually in high school, and then he went bald. So I think he's the only redheaded in my family. Redheaded person in my family. I think I'm caught up with chat. I'm just reading anyway. So you guys have any more questions regarding the lecture? Did you guys agree, disagree? I mean, all of you guys are of the same line here, same school of thought. I was hoping some of the artists would pop in and disagree with me. I wanted a debate. I wanted a discussion. Yeah, it's fun. Thanks guys for supporting me. I hope you were enriched by this, that even though it's not related to any particular franchise or comics, that what I am discussing is about art, and it spans the gamut. It is about it is what I say is applied to all sorts of art and media, and the impending doom and gloom of music and all of that stuff. I'm just kidding. I'm just being silly now because I've been talking for 2 hours. I'm really thirsty. Aged boomer, really? That's cool. Very nice. Yeah, it's important. Keep it. Don't do anything to it. It's funny, Sound Engraver, but you look like a strawberry blonde on camera. That's kind of reddish. Thank you. 1 second. I'm a dusky blonde. I had yellow blonde hair as a kid, and then around 10 years old, it darkened to kind of it almost darkened to a mousy brown. In the Northwest, it was kind of a mousy brown, but there's more sun down here. So it's lightened up a little bit as I have gotten older. So I don't think it's strawberry blonde though. I have the complexion for it though. That's for sure. And Nanette Pacelli says you need to check out the Harp Twins. Is it a pair of twins that play harp? Because I have a twin who does play harp. She does Celtic harp, 32-string harp, I think. I wonder if she's watching. She didn't join chat. I told her I was live. So that's cool. That is cool. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts there. Hopefully you guys like that. I don't have anything else to say. If you guys want to keep talking about art, just keep on going. You say that they are twins and they also play harps. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I think that's a wrap for me. I think I'm probably going to do some writing here in a bit. Maybe close it off. Definitely by noon. Midnight. It's noon somewhere, right? No, it's probably not noon. I don't think so. Maybe somewhere. Yeah, absolutely, Big Al. Thank you. Enjoy hearing your views and looking forward to future streams. Stay safe and keep making art. Yeah, thank you very much on that. I'm not used to conducting these live streams, so I don't know when to end it. So maybe I should end it. But yeah, more to come. I think I'm surprised none of the artist people have maybe Monday night's not a good night for them, but I'm happy to have you guys here. Hopefully it's not taking up any of your time for other things. I think I will be keeping it Monday nights, and I think I'll be doing it 9 or 9:30. It does depend. So we're looking at 9:30 Eastern time, and that's when I finish teaching, have dinner, and all of that. So I'm nice and relaxed and cool. I think that just about does it. So nothing else from me. Troy Pacelli says this has been awesome. Now, by the way, do you guys want me to keep posting your comments on the screen? I kind of had a little too much fun with that. And if you keep saying things like, no, I don't want it on, but I like doing it. It's fun. So I'm just going to go ahead and post yours, Troy. This has been awesome. Will this be a regular stream? Yeah, I think so. So I don't know if you and Al, real quick to wrap it up, you and Al had that rewatch. This was a Saturday night thing. It was just on my mind. It was just something I thought of. But the recording, the fixed video, the fixed media where I'm recording and uploading actually it takes a lot of time as far as setting up and tearing down and editing. And with my teaching online, it's gotten to be pretty cumbersome pretty quickly. So I like this relaxed, form where, I can say things incorrectly. Doesn't pick up any mouse sounds. So I like that it's nice and easy, and that's what I need, because I don't mind editing, but if I can get away not doing it and just composing or working in SuperCollider or doing writing and all that good stuff, I would prefer it. So the topics that I want to talk about on this in this live format, that's not changing. I still have in mind to talk about what I've been planning on talking about for my coffee breaks. We might have to call it something else though, because it's at night, it's for 2 hours. So if you guys have any fun titles you want to just slap there along the way or in the comments below, I might think of, or it could be a long coffee break for someone who misses the live and catches it later. But I will say though, and maybe Prof, you have this from experience, I garnered a lot more views with this live stream than I've done with my fixed videos, the commentary. So it's like, wow, it's killing a lot of birds with one stone. So, and I like it. It's fun to engage with you guys. Maybe, if I get in the flow of things, maybe having people on, talking about that, talking about art, how it can relate to other media. It doesn't have to be just music. So what are you saying? Don't worry about Saturday nights. Only Fan Man pitches a hissy fit when someone streams on his night. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I thought that was Fridays. I thought he did his stuff on Fridays, but I'm not sure. Usually I'm doing my own art there. Night music. Talking about Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, or Ein klein Nacht music. Sound Engraver, isn't it your birthday next week? I'll send you. Oh, my birthday was a few weeks ago. Yeah, turned 33. So, oh, okay. Well, sure. Yeah, I don't mind the dark stuff and the ambient stuff, as as long as there's no profanity. Oh, that's the sorry. I'm a little slow, Nanette. I'm a little slow. Calling your show Night Music or Night Moves. Night Moves. Yeah, something like that. Something that has to do with night commentary. Maybe something that has like a podcast name ring to it. One of the artists last time said he said he called himself a nocturnal hermit, and I was like, oh, that's such a great name for something. It has to be used somehow. Yeah. And actually the thing is, even though I'm using music as my concrete examples, because it's what I've studied, I'm still interested in talking about art in general. So it really more is commentary on art, me using music as the examples I can because of my experience, because that's what I'm most comfortable with. So anyway, yeah. I think that's it for me. I don't know how to end it. So yeah, so I look forward to office hours, of course. And I don't need to plug that because all you guys go there anyway. I don't see anyone else who does this. Monday nights might not work if it's not a steady flow, but it works for me for now. So that's it. Yeah, we got some Star Wars in. Got some Donkey Kong in. I should have worn my Star Wars shirt for that. That'll be for next time. But anyway, thanks guys so much for watching and listening, and always be on the lookout for some more sound experimentation every Thursday, and always look for some more commentary for now as it holds up to the live commentary. And I really do enjoy this. So that will be for now. It's to be decided, but for now, we'll stick with Monday nights, 9 or 9:30 Eastern time. And thank you. Yeah, Troy, it's hard to say goodbye. This is fun, but I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow, and I'll be on the chat. So yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, I'm sure. And to those of you watching afterwards, keep producing the art that you love, and I will catch you later. Thanks again.